It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Welcome to another deep conversation on Vinci to the World, your personal journey to health, wealth, and happiness. My name is Dino Delpesh, your host. I am an entrepreneur and a bodyweight strength coach. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's all good. Just stick around and you'll soon find out. My aim with this segment is to have very deep conversation with extraordinary people from the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and abroad. Now, these conversations are designed to bring you greater possibilities and insights into living a healthier lifestyle physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and wait for the big one, financially. Now, if you're the kind of person who attaches value to living a healthier lifestyle, personal development, and self-growth, this is your conversation.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey, how we doing? Sorry about that. I was sitting there. I was like,
No
oh,
problem, man,
shoot.
no problem. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing well. So yesterday, crazy thing happened. So I live in Ames, Iowa. I don't know if you're familiar where that's at.
No, I don't know where that is at all. You need to give me an update on that one.
So that's in America and stuff. So it's in the Midwest, and we got hit by like a huge storm yesterday. We had 80 mile an hour winds, lost power for the entire day yesterday. So I was working on stuff at like 11 o'clock, and I was like, oh, I'll go upstairs and grab something. And next thing I know, we lost power.
Wow.
I mean, it just looks like a tornado went through Ames.
Wow, I hope everybody's okay. Hope no one got hurt though.
From what I can tell, no, my family didn't get hurt, and I don't think really anybody got hurt, but just a lot of damage. Spent a lot of my day yesterday helping people pick stuff up. Oh
wow, you're a superhero, aren't you? See what I said? When the extraordinary people come and have conversations with me, bro.
What?
I said only extraordinary have conversations with me. You're like a superhero.
I try to be. I really try to be. So, but yeah, so
that's really good, man.
It was quite an experience, I tell you. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, well, there goes. And now I'm every other week for making it on those calls. I'm like, Vince is gonna kill me.
Well, we have stories to tell, and that's a good experience. It's like now you have a little taste of what we go through in the Caribbean every year with hurricanes.
Yeah. It literally looked like we were in a tornado because the water was spiraling around the house. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And the next thing I know, 5 minutes later, there goes the power. And I'm like, all right, here's how this day's going to go. So it's like, oh, shoot, now I'm playing catch up for the rest of the day, trying to get caught up. I'm actually I'm studying to take, are you familiar with like what a dietitian is?
I've heard the term before. But maybe you can update me as well.
Yeah, so essentially a dietitian is someone that's did a 4-year undergrad in nutrition. So literally I spent 4 years just learning about the ins and outs of nutrition, and then I actually have to take a board exam to pass the exam. Then I can become a dietitian. Before that, I have to do an internship, which I just finished in June. 1,200-hour didactic internship.
My man.
So 50 hours a week. I was pushing more like 60 because you can't just say, hey, 50 hours when the preceptors let you go, they'll let you go. So there's nights I was there from like 8 in the morning until like 8 or 9 at night, and I still haven't trained and I still haven't studied. So I was like, oh my gosh, crap.
Well, we gotta put the work in now so we can reap those benefits,
Absolutely.
But just before you jump into, all about diet and nutrition, because what we'll be talking about today is how to make nutrition work for you. Why don't you just tell us a bit about you, man? Like, who are you? Like, I know both of us were in the same mastermind group, but we have never really had a conversation because there's a couple of us there, and I invited you to have this conversation with me. So just for me and everybody else who's listening, who's Nathan Schwartz? I hope I'm pronouncing the surname correct.
Hey, you know what? It's funny that it's funny that you asked my correct if you said it correct, because you're actually one of the few people to actually say my last name correct. So
really?
So kudos to you. Now, before I introduce myself, can you spell it? Well, and then we'll go from there.
It's on the screen already, so I'll be cheating.
Oh, never mind. Okay, well, we'll just give you points for that. Okay. So a little bit of history about myself. So I did a 4-year degree at Iowa State University, and then didn't get an internship. to move on. And then I went and worked at a grocery store in Iowa called Fairway. Did their management program for a couple years, decided that really wasn't my true passion. Sometimes you got to leave something for a little while and come back to kind of recharge and re-energize yourself. So then I was like, all right, what am I going to do here? I need to figure out what I want to do. And I'm like, hey, I love training people. I love nutrition. So let's be a personal trainer. So in 2017, I became a personal trainer, started training a couple clients at the local gym. And I was like, man, I'm really good at motivating people. I was like, let's take this one step further. And I kept getting asked nutritional questions, because when people ask you your expertise and they're like, oh, you did a degree in nutrition, and it's like, then the wheelhouse, and there's only so much I can give with what I have based upon in Iowa, we have some laws that we can only provide certain nutritional information. So I was like, hey, let's go on and let's finish what we started. So then went ahead and applied for an internship in November of 2019, got the internship, started January, completed that. So all I've got left to do is take a test, and then I have that credential. But yeah, so really enjoyed working with people, and I've worked with people from the age of 20 to 80. Okay. And so found out I could motivate people on all levels. I was like, hey, this just doesn't make sense not to. So yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at, and just love training. I always tell people that, like, if I can just give you like a little inch of my passion for training, I've won. Even if your needle is like, let's say here, like, okay, I don't like training, and I can get you I can tolerate training. I was like, hey, I've won. I'll do backflips for you. Yeah. So it's just trying to give my passion and my message to people that are working out in nutrition, that, hey, the fitness industry and everybody in general, it's not just the fitness industry, has decided that, hey, let's make this as complicated as we can. And I just decided, last year, I was like, I am going to simplify this process. I'm going to make it super easy and super fun. So when I work with people with nutrition or training, I have a couple principles I like to do. It's got to be fun. We've got to get results, and it's got to be sustainable. And if it doesn't meet those three principles, I just throw it out. Because if you don't like something, I mean, you and our listeners who are listening, probably, if you hate something, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got to be
fun. They got to be sustainable, and we got
to get results too. So, like I said, at the end of the day, people pay for those results. They pay big money for results. So we got to get those.
Definitely. So just before we go into the nutrition bit, I always have this warm-up question that I ask all guests that I come on, just to get the ball rolling, because I know you have a lot to share. But just to spice things up a bit, if you had a superpower, what do you think your superpower would have been, and why?
It's so funny. So I was sitting here before the call thinking about that exact question, because I was like, we're definitely not going to skip that question. And I actually had two. And I sat here for literally like 5-10 minutes, and I'm like, what am I going to pick? And I at first I was like, okay, I want to go without sleep. And I'm like, well, okay, that's really not practical, right? So I was like, how about I just have the ability to freeze time? Because there's so many benefits of freezing time, right? Because if you're working with a client and they ask you a question and you don't know what it is, you can go freeze time and get the answer. Or if you're working on something and you're like, oh shoot, it would be nice to have another 15-20 minutes, just hit the little freeze button. And the other one I went with was the ability to teleport. Because I don't know about you, but when you have to do any task whatsoever, even just getting to the gym, it takes a lot of time. If I could just and other than just how cool would that be, just to be like, hey, I want to go to the gym, boom, I'm there. Like I would just thought that'd be so cool.
And you'll save so much time, man. You'll save so much time.
Oh,
and the cool thing about the first superpower, if you can freeze time, that means you can get any client, any results in record time.
Absolutely.
You freeze time, work with them in that frozen time, get the results, and then within even a day, and they have the body that they need.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to freeze time with the person I'm with.
Yeah.
Let's expand on that.
That's dope. That's a dope superpower. I never really thought about that. That's dope. Okay, so you said that you've did your degree in nutrition, and now you're working on becoming a dietitian, which you just have your exam that you need to finish. And you also said that the industry has made nutrition so complicated. A lot of people just don't get it. Most people usually can't really stick to a diet plan. And your three principles are: one, it needs to be sustainable, meaning if you start, it should last for at least a lifetime, become a lifetime. Two, it needs to be fun. You shouldn't be eating boring stuff. I shouldn't feel like it's a chore or anything like that. And then three, it needs to get you results because at the end of the day, that's what your clients are paying for. So tell us a little bit more about what's that like.
Yeah, so you want in the context of nutrition or the context of training? I'm assuming nutrition, but just wanted to clarify.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
So, when it comes to sustainability and all that kind of stuff, like when you look at the fitness industry, I swear you go on Instagram, there's someone selling something, or any social media. Hey, give me this like fit tea, and it's like, okay, what is this? And it's just this tea you drink. It's got no caloric value. And what people are doing with these diets, keto, intermittent fasting, insert any fad diet, they're just putting you in such a severe caloric deficit. And for any of our viewers at home that don't know what that means, is if let's say your intake 2,000 calories and you burn 2,200 calories, that means you're in a caloric deficit. You're burning more calories than you're intaking, and that's the driver of weight loss. So these diets that are out there, that's all they're doing, but they're making it fancy and they're making it sexy and they're making it like lose 10 pounds. And it's like, that's fine. I mean, great, but the problem is what happens after you lose the 15 pounds, right? Typically what tends to happen is once we've lost the 15 pounds, there's actually a lot of studies out there that show that if you lose 15 pounds, the weight regain statistics are actually really high. Like 95% of everybody that loses weight is going to gain it back. So let's say you lost 15 pounds, you're going to gain 20 pounds. So now you had a 15-pound weight loss goal, and now you gained 5 pounds actually. So you're actually net plus 5. But so what I always try to, my approach with people when it comes to nutrition is, let's just figure out where you're at. Because let's say that they really need, and I base myself off of the calories in equals calories out model. Let's say somebody needs 2,500 calories. Yeah, energy balance. And I notice people, they like to beat around the bush, like energy balance doesn't work. This doesn't work. No, calories in equals calories out. And I'm one of those people that I don't like to speak in absolute terms, because I think that's a very dogmatic way of thinking. And I would say the only thing that I would sit there and be like, okay, this is 100% for sure, is energy in equals energy out. That we just know that. We proved that so many times. And when people tend to, there we go. Basic law of thermodynamics. So we cannot, dispute that. So, what a lot of people tend to do is they're like, oh, it doesn't work. Well, the problem is that the person is giving you this system that you can't follow or makes no sense. Like these cleanses. I always tell people that, like, being the nutrition person that I am, when people talk about cleanses, I always tell people, like, think about an action movie where, like, like you see those big explosions go off. Like I always tell people that every time I hear the word cleanse, like my brain just explodes, because like I feel bad for those people, because they're just essentially getting taken advantage of. Yeah, they're gonna get the result that they're looking for in the short term. So I'm one of those people that like to play the long game, because playing the short game just gets you more frustration, spinning your wheels, and you're just gonna be like, I'm heavier than I started. And so my system's very simple. Is I figure out how many calories that the person needs. We figure that out. And then I figure out how much weight do they want to lose. I typically don't let my clients lose more than 2 pounds a week. Now, the caveat to that is like the first couple weeks, like we all know that when we start a diet for the first time, actually, I hate the word diet. We used to first start a new nutrition protocol. I've been really, it's funny because 2020 has been I've been really working on not using the word diet. But since I have the word dietitian, it's hard to dodge that. But, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, so let's say that they're intaking, let's say 3,500 calories. And let's say I predict they need 2,500 calories to lose weight. We're going to stair-step them down, because I'm not going to crash them down. Be like, oh, hey, by the way, like you only need 2,500 calories to lose a pound a week, and you're intaking 3,500. It's going to set them up for non-sustainable results, because we're just...
Before you continue, maybe I know some of our viewers may not even know what is a calorie, because we said energy in and energy out. Me and you, we know what is calories, but maybe to break it down a bit, what is actually a calorie, like just to make it a bit more clear for those who are viewing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a unit of measurement. So they pretty much put this thing, like they put something in this calorimeter, and they would be like, how much energy does it take to expend? And so when, let's say we put like a donut in there, let's say the donut burned, it was 200 calories. So that means that it takes 200 calories to consume that or to burn that. So when your body, when you intake it, it's going to take 200 calories to burn it. If you don't burn the 200 calories, if your body doesn't do that, it's going to store it as fat.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for our viewers at home?
Yeah, so you get that calories is a unit of measurement for energy. Okay, so every food has energy. You put it in, that energy can be stored as fat. If it's carbs, if it's protein, if it's fat. Okay, so the energy that goes in, okay, we need to get it out if you're losing weight. If you want to gain weight, that energy that goes in, we want to use it to create muscle from the amino acids, protein.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So essentially what we want to do, we'll even simplify this more for reviewers, because I always tell people I love to just simplify things as quickly as we can. Okay, so calorie surplus means you're intaking more than you're burning. A calorie deficit is you're burning more than you're intaking. And then balance is if you consume 2,000 calories and your body burns 2,000 calories, you're at equilibrium. So it equals. So I always tell people my system's not sexy. It's not this crazy system, but I've had some pretty good success with it. I want to say I've worked with, I'm trying to think, probably about 7 or 8 clients where we really started doing nutrition, when I could finally actually start doing that. And I want to say we've collectively almost hit the 100-pound mark since March. Okay. So and some other people I've just been like, hey, I'm just going to do this. I do this for free because I need some social proof. I need people to believe in my system. But I have 2 people right now that I got. One person that's lost 30. It's almost to 30 pounds. 25 pounds down since March. So we're killing it, and stuff like that. So so it just takes. I always tell people that, like, it just takes time, and it's just patience. I don't know about you, but we, with it being Instagram, Facebook, or we just become such a we want it now society. It's very, very challenging to get people to take a step back and be like, hey, if I do this sustainably, I'm gonna have better success in the long term. And then what I also tell people too is, like, how good would it feel if, let's say, you had a 50-pound weight loss goal? How good would it be if you only had to do that once? Because if we crash diet, which essentially what I mean by that is we go on, we lose like 20 pounds or 50 pounds in a month. We do those really, like, we pretty much starve ourselves. We have to do that how many times in our lifetime? What if I could just tell you, what if we just did it once, and then I could get you to maintain? So let's say you had a 50-pound weight loss goal, and I could get you down to that in about a year's time period, and you're going to stay within plus or minus 5 pounds forever. I always said, well, how does that sound? Like I like, my term is, I call it the sustainable fat loss, the sustainable permanent fat loss solution, because that's what it's doing, is it's giving you the tips, the tricks, the concepts to do this forever. Even once you're done working with me, you have the concepts to kill it for the rest of your life, and you're never ever going to have to worry about, oh man, it would be nice to lose 10, 15 pounds, or insert your number again. So that's really my biggest selling point into it, is I just want people to lose it once. I've seen way too many people over the years lose weight, put it on, lose weight, put it on, lose weight, put it on. And it's really discouraging to watch those people because they just get frustrated each time, and it just becomes harder and harder each time we have to lose weight. So that's why I've just advised the system is, let's just do this once. If we do it right, we only have to do it once.
Once, definitely. I know that's one of the major challenge with us as coaches. We are so passionate about getting our clients results, but then we are competing with the marketing trends and the temporary gratification that has been designed into society today. So not only we need to get you results, but we got to help you unlearn all the misconception that you've been taught about eating and your body, because one of the things that the body don't like is change. So the moment you start changing up things rapidly and quick, trust me, you're going to crash. You know, even
Yeah.
though, as you said, you get results, you know, the body want to get back to balance as quick as possible. You know, so your method is really, really, you know, the way to go. Take small steps, and you know, you create sustainable change as you go along the journey, because in that sense you're going to adapt to that change. You know, instead of trying to, oh, I want to lose, or let's say 20 pounds in 2 weeks, you know, so I can fit into the perfect dress. You know, I want to gain a certain amount of weight by then for the show, you know, to look good, to impress whoever. And you remind me of this guy called Edric Edmides. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
I
he
am
has
not.
this saying. He said that people don't fail diets, diets fail people.
Oh,
You know,
100%. Like, yeah, I love that. I'm actually going to write that quote down and I'm going to keep it because it's so true.
yeah,
You know, because I think at the end of the day, we have to have a system that works for the
mm,
individual. Now
yeah,
now I always tell people too that like, I want to give you concepts for then, let's say you've worked with me for 2-3 years and you're ready to go on your own. If you can't do my system after I've taught you, I failed as a coach because
definitely.
I didn't give you the concepts that you needed. Because at the end of the day, I'm selling the sustainability of you can do this forever. So
Mm,
let's say you work with me for a couple of years and you go off on your own and you can't do it, then I fail because obviously I didn't teach you correctly or I
yeah,
didn't explain it in a way that you could understand.
yeah. That's powerful. And just to hit on that again, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and you know, we were talking about what is it, like what made her stick to a particular program for a longer period compared to the ones that she hadn't. You know, and she said the major thing was attention from the person who was training her. You know, and just as you said, you know, that comes with attention. If somebody have worked with you for a year, 6 months, and you know they're not able to continue what you have teach them, you have literally not given them that attention, and you have failed them as a coach. And I was also having a conversation today with a friend of mine, and based on his experience, he have never really paid for any sort of coaching online, but he's paid offline before, and he said that his experience was crap, you know, because he said what his trainers did, they'll tell him to do this, how many deadlifts and bench press, but they're not giving him information about like sets, what to eat, correcting his form. And, you know, he'll just come back and do the same thing over and over. You know, so sustainability also comes with, you know, a significant amount of attention, you know, from us as coaches. And that's one of the reasons why I love to call myself a coach and not really a trainer. Because when you're a coach, it's not just about the workout and the diet, you know, and the motivation, but there's a support that you also bring with the package, you know. And it doesn't even have to be about fitness, it could be about life in general. You know, just knowing how to bring across the value that you're giving, how to support them when they're at their lowest point so you can bring them back on track. So yeah, so sustainability is one of the most important thing when you are starting something new, whether it's a diet plan or whether it's your workout plan in general. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on that if I may. Especially with our whole message of being sustainable. I don't know how many people that you've probably worked with or you talked to, like if they find, we're gonna say like a workout plan, just because you were saying about a trainer, like how many people like to go 0 to 60? I always tell people if I had $1 for every time somebody wanted to be like, hey, let's go 0 to 60, I could have retired. I would have more money than I know what to do with. Because people, I think what happens is we have this all or nothing mentality where
Mm.
we're all in or we're not at all. So
Yeah.
my favorite example of that as it relates in the context of training and is that people like, oh, I want to work out 5 days a week. And then I ask them, I was like, okay, that's a great goal, but how many days a week are you training? Once.
Mm.
So I always tell people that like you're going to do yourself a disservice if you go from training once a week to training 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And then in the context of nutrition, if you're somebody that needs like, let's say 2,500 calories, but you're consuming 4,000 calories, we're not going to take you from 4,000 all the way down to 2,500. We're going to stair step you down so you can have
Definitely.
wins along the way. and okay, I finally got there. Now the weight's going to start coming off. Now I've got the confidence. I can do this because, I want people to feel good as they're going through the program and not drop off. Because I mean, if I told you, I was like, oh, hey, by the way, like I figured out how many calories you need and you are consuming double that and you need to do that tomorrow. Are you really probably going to do it? You're probably going to drag your feet. Oh, crap. This is the last day I get to have my high calorie day. My days. Now I have to go to this small caloric limit. And, people just don't get excited about it,
Yeah.
That's just from personal experience. I've just found that it's way easier to set people down than just take them straight to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, how to say, like, we need to become more aware of how the body works and go with that flow. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, because it's just like learning a new skill. If, for example, I'm going to teach you to ride a bike, the most basic example, and I put you on a bike, put you on a bike and I put you on the highest hill and just boom, most likely you're going to fall, right? So that's, as you're saying, you take those steps so that gradually you can increase that individual caloric intake or even reduce it until they hit their goal. And also, there's a difference between online coaches and generic apps, because the generic app can give you a program that is for everybody and it won't work for you individually. And most likely you'll start and you get excited in the beginning, but then when day two come and you realize that your entire body is sore, your energy is depleted, and you just don't feel good, you're wondering, why am I doing this? And recovery is also an important part of the process. And that comes with the food as well, as you said. So if you're training a client, that client want to lose weight, and you drop their caloric intake to a significant amount, they're gonna feel horrible after their training, or even during their training, and then they're gonna wonder, like, why am I not enjoying this, or why am I not feeling good, or as you said, why did I lose 15 pounds and then I'm gaining back 20? All these crazy questions will come to their head and they'll feel demotivated. But the thing is, people, we need to understand, how the body works, what the body sees as important, and gradually go towards that goal.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I really like what you said about how, like, if we significantly drop their calories and then they're training hard and they feel like, for lack of a better term, like utter crap, they're going to associate training as a bad thing. You know what I mean? So they're going to associate training, okay, this sucks, I'm tired, and I'm not getting anything out of it. Because my philosophy of training and nutrition also, but mainly training, is it should enhance your lifestyle, not take away. And when our training starts taking away from our lifestyle, we have to, I think, as coaches, start asking the questions, why is my training program, taking away from what my client wants to do? So then I think we really have to start asking those questions. And that's what I really like when you're talking about the cookie cutter programs, the apps. Oh man, that just drives me nuts, because it's just like, okay, like, cool, you can do this training program that's for everybody, quote unquote. I'll air quote that. So then you're right. It's not taking into the consideration of their diet history. It's not taking into the consideration of how much sleep they're getting. Like, I think, and being an in-personal trainer really helped me learn from stuff online. Is like, if you got a client that you're working with that's on 2 hours of sleep, and I like how you were saying deadlifts, you're not deadlifting today. Or if you're deadlifting, it's very, 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 very lightweight. We're going to scale everything back so you can actually have proper recovery and you can recover from the session. And then we can hit it hard that next week when you get better sleep. And then as coaches, I think we need to ask the question is why aren't you getting a lot of sleep, or why are your energy levels dipping? And I think people forget that as coaches, that's what you're really paying us the big bucks for, is we're going to figure out how to continue making this program fit your lifestyle. And I think at the end of the day, I think we always, and I always tell people too, like, I have this thing that I write up with after I talk to all my clients, I have it somewhere in here that just says my three tiers, and sustainability is huge. And I always make sure that, okay, am I programming this in for them? Does it fit their lifestyle? And I always ask, is this too much? because I think sometimes some people are afraid to admit that it's too much. And I was told, well, you have to let me know from the get-go, because I got no problem scaling it back. Because I think for me, as me, from my own personal experience, when I started scaling my training back a little bit and decided that I wasn't going to come in there and kill myself, I got better results, because I was, like you were talking about recovery, that was my missing link. And once I figured out, like, hey, by the way, you can't go in here and kill yourself 6 days a week and give yourself 1 day to recover, I was like, oh man, here comes the gains. And then I learned about nutrition in college, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, am I taking some sort of steroid? Like, is this really all you had to do? And that's really when I delved right into nutrition, because I was like, wow, this can change your life. I gotta tell everybody about this.
Exactly. You know, and it shows how many misinformation is on the internet. There's so much information. And you know, I have this similar experience when I started to work out, like say working out, getting into fitness. I had more or less no knowledge of fitness. You know, the only thing I ever did was martial arts, and that's where my foundation started. And I would have trained 6 times a week, literally 6 times a week, and I'll rest once. And sometimes I'll train 7 days a week, you know, and maybe the 7, then the rest will be like, maybe I'll pass by the bars and I'll do some pull-ups and push-up, you know, but that's still training, because if the body is, how to say, being under tension, it hinders recovery. And it's only when I did my certification program and I learned about how important recovery is and how long the muscles actually takes to recover, that I realized, wow, I've been doing more damage to my body than good, you know. And it come to a point where I significantly reduced the amount of time I train. I only train 3 times a week. And when I have that conversation with people, a lot of people be surprised. How do you train 3 times a week and you still look like this? Because you don't need to work out 6 times a week. Once you follow the set principle and your calories are on point, you know, the results are going to come. You know, it's practically the muscles are being disintegrated and then they're being recovered. And you get proper sleep as well. You know, give your body time to recover, you're going to get results. So this is really something interesting that a lot of people, you know, need to realize. Like there's a saying, you know, no pain, no gain. You know, that have its place. You know, it's not no pain for 6 consecutive days so that you can get gains. You know, the whole idea of recovery is really important as well.
Oh, I agree. It's so funny that you talk about recovery, and now to kind of delve into a little bit of training. But yeah, I mean, I think, and that was 23-year-old me, like, oh my gosh, I want the gains, 6 days a week. And I was like, I got this high off of training like the top 5%. And I think what some people forget is that, you know what the top 5% do? Your body builders and some of your probably elite powerlifters, don't quote me on that one, but here's what they're doing. They've got somebody to probably do their nutrition. They got someone to figure out their supplement stack. They got someone to figure out their steroid cycle. And I'm not saying that all the people that train like top 5% take steroids, but they need help, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it'd be safe to make an assumption that those people probably are on some sort of performance enhancing supplements or steroids. If they aren't, I hope they don't come after me. But I always tell people, it's like, why are we aiming to train like the top 5% if all we want to do is go into the gym and feel better? You know, we have a lot of liberty on what we can do when we're just like, okay, if my goal is just to get in the gym and get stronger and then have a little bit of aesthetic benefits, okay, cool. We can, like you said, 3 times a week, is perfect. And what I like about the 3 times a week model is, how many times let's say, for example, in your training split, let's say you probably train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, those seem to be the common 3-day splits. What if life happens? Like yesterday, prime example, I had this giant storm that came in. I was fortunate that I was able to train yesterday, right? But here's the deal. Like today, we don't have power anywhere in Ames. I'm fortunate that my 4 walls have power. And I was going to train this morning. I was like, okay, I'll get up. I'll head over to the gym, and it was closed. Okay, now if I was like, oh shoot, now how am I going to train? Like, oh my gosh, my entire week is ruined. No, it's fine. Okay, then just train Wednesday. No big deal. What I like about the 3-day model is we have so much liberty to flux things around. Even with the 5-day model, you have 2 days to flux around. You know what I mean? So I think the 6 days a week, like even when I was training 6 days a week, it was like, oh shoot, like I missed 1 day of training, I am screwed. You know, I got 1 day to fix it. And then what happens if something else happens? What if I had to miss 2 days? And I'm like, okay, so now what do? I'm going to go do a 2-a-day. And I'm going to tell you, like, I am one of the I hate 2-a-days. I don't think they have value. Like, everything has their time and a place, but for the average individual, 2-a-days I don't see the benefit in 2-a-days. You know?
Yeah. I think three is the minimum, I'll say.
Yeah.
3 is the minimum.
My favorite splits are 3 days, 4 days, and 5 days. I never give 6, and I never give 7.
So, yeah, makes sense. And just another note, I can remember another time as well where I was training very intensely, and winter vacation came along, and I didn't have the opportunity to train for a month, right? And I do calisthenics, which is a bodyweight style of training. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but where we use the bar a lot. So during that time, I just start programming my muscle up, where you do the pull up and you come all the way to the top of the bar. Like, I'm just getting my muscle up. So at that time, I could have hit say like 5, and I'm struggling to hit 6, 7, 8. So then I stopped training for like a month, because the winter vacation, I went to another city, the campus was closed. And man, I was itching. I was like, like I just learned the muscle up, and now I stopped training. I won't even be able to do as much reps. And after 1 month, I found a bar, a playground where there was bars, and I went to try. My mind was telling me this crappy information. Oh, you haven't been training, you won't be able to do any. To my great surprise, I did 10 muscle up, after not training for so long. And that's when I realized that my body has been craving for good recovery, and that's why I was executing, because I always used to feel all these pains in my joints, from overtraining. So, under training is not suggested, and even overtraining is something that we need to, avoid.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you talk about overtraining and undertraining. It's a very fine line that you got to walk.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very fine line.
And I think that's where our job as coaches is to figure that out for our clients and be like, okay, and don't be afraid to tell them to back down. I mean, I've had clients, I'm like, oh my gosh, we did 3 sets last week, and today's a deload week, and we're only doing 2 sets and 50%. And they're like, yeah, I promise, like, just trust me. And they're like, they come in the next week and they're setting PRs, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I always tell them, like, remember how apprehensive you were like last week? Like, I promise it's gonna work. But yet again,
that's compensation week, huh?
Yeah, I think that's another like video in itself. Is just talking about that.
Yeah. Continue. Let's leave that for another video.
Absolutely.
So you said during your let me not go there. Like, maybe just talk a bit more about, like, who do you serve? Like, in what particular set of people do you work well with currently?
Yeah, so I work with predominantly females. I have a couple males, like I think like two or 3 males, but predominantly females. I predominantly serve like probably more like the late 20s, like 25 plus. I've had a lot of success with those women, and they're great. They're some of the best people I've ever worked with and had an opportunity to train. What I like about working with that population, and this is just from my personal experience, is that they're really ready to be like, I've tried every single diet in the book. It doesn't work. They come to me and I'm like, how about we just take all the rules away and let's just train this way and let's do it this way. And then their eyes are like, oh, really? Like, that's all I have to do is like, yes, it's simple. It's straightforward. It's not gimmicky. And I've had a lot of success serving those people. Honestly, and some of my favorite ones I know I trained some people that are in their 50s, like some moms, and it's really interesting to hear their stories of why they're working out, like they're trying to motivate their kids to work out. And that really motivates me to put the best package together I can, because they're trying to set an example for their kids in terms of a healthy lifestyle. And honestly, in my opinion, you can't put a price on that. So typically right now who I'm serving is from 25 plus, predominantly females.
Okay, nice. And like, what would you say, like, with these females, what do you think is the number one struggle that most of them come with, like, for them?
In terms of nutrition or in terms of nutrition and training?
Like generally, maybe from the mindset, the nutrition, or even the workout
Oh,
wise.
absolutely. Yeah. So typically from my experience with a lot of the in-person people that I've worked with, is they, like I said, they've tried every diet in the book, and they're told that you can't eat after 8 p.m. This food's bad. Like, we put foods in these good and bad boxes. And I want to say, and I don't know if this is really a technical term, but like I call it diet exhaustion, where they're just exhausted. They don't want to hear like, I'm gonna put you on a diet, like, like they're just tired of it, and they're just like, they want something that's simple. Because I mean, if we look at like some of my older clientele, like my moms that I'm training, is they don't have this time. Like, they don't have time to put in this crazy elaborate, like, go like this crazy meal prepping where it's just meal prepping for themselves. Like, they don't have time to make these long meals. Like, they need quick meals that are healthy and that they can feed their family and feed them as well. So and then when it comes to training, is they don't have time to train for forever in a day. I mean, most of the moms that I train, I see them twice a week for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, I see them once a week for 30 minutes, and then I give them homework to do, and they love it because they're like, oh, okay, this is awesome. Like, I can get a good workout in 30 minutes. Yes, you can get a good workout in 30 minutes. 3 times a week. Yes. And they just light up because they've been told this whole time that we got to go to the gym for 6 days a week. We got to train for 2 hours a day. We got to pretty much kill ourselves. And, and what I really try to teach them too is to not compare themselves to other people, and they're like where these other people are. Like, it's you versus you, and just focus on getting better each week. If it's weight loss is your goal, let's focus on losing a little bit of weight. If strength is your goal, let's focus on adding a little bit of weight to the bar when our technique is perfect. Let's get in, let's get out, and let's be effective and have fun.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part about working with that population. Is just it's interesting when as coaches, and like, they really want to know, like, it's so funny, like some of the people I work with, they want to know more about me than I get a chance to ask about them. And I'm like, I want to know about you. Like, I feel like I'm talking about just myself, but it's different, because I know as coaches, we want to talk about the client, not ourselves, and they just want to know about us. So it's fun to work with them. And then my younger females, my favorite thing about them is, if nothing else, they don't have a fear of food. I actually have been working with a client for almost a year now, and we didn't even start the weight loss process until about March. I started with her in November, and the only reason I didn't was because this person was so diet fatigued, and did keto, and had these, like, was this fear of food. And so I was like, I can't be like, you're going to lose 2 pounds a week. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. She would have never, ever succeeded. So I was like, how about we do this? Let's just start with, let's just fix your fear of food first. And after we fixed her fear of food, like, she's killing it in all avenues. Like, I probably one of my most successful clients that I've had, because I was willing to be like, okay, you know what? Like, I know you came to me. I know you've got this weight loss goal, but we got to put that on hold right now, because I got to fix this problem, because this problem is what's causing the weight gain. So So sometimes I always tell people too that it's like, yes, we want to lose weight, but sometimes we have to, as coaches, delve deep into our question as we ask the client, and be like, okay, what's the root problem? Sometimes we have to fix that first. And for a lot of my females that I've worked with, it was, we got to get away from good and bad foods. It's all about moderation. It's all about fitting it to your lifestyle. And then once we do that, then for them, they're just like, wow, the weight just comes off like butter. And it's like consistent, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we get an occasional gain, which I enjoy, because I always tell people that if we're on a weight loss goal and we just plateau and we just go straight down, I don't really get to teach them much, because I'm like, okay, well, we're just killing it. But I always, like, I was telling my one client in her check-in a couple of weeks ago, well, we had a little bit of a gain. And I was like, the great thing about this is how much you learn about yourself and what you need to do to improve when we gain a pound, a little bit of weight here and there, because it really helps us develop our behavioral modification strategies so we can do this forever. And then she's like, oh yeah, like, I never would have thought of it that way. Like, I just was going to beat myself up. I was like, no. We want to look at this as how can we, I don't like to use the word fix, but how can we improve it? How can we improve what you did? Or did you just have a bad week? I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I've lost weight, and stuff like that, I just had a week that was terrible. And it's like, okay, no big deal. I know exactly what I did. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing this. Perfect. No big deal. Reset myself. That week's over with. I learned and I moved on.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so that's why I like the 25 plus group, is because I think they're a lot more coachable when they get to that age than in the early 20s. Because I think in the early 20s, I think at least the sample size I have, they're just focused on aesthetics, and you really can't. I've really struggled with trying to get them to not do that, and and that's partially my fault, and I think that's partially them. I just might be me not asking the right questions. So,
but we're
that's
learning
fine.
as well. As coaches, we're learning as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's you kind of said something very interesting, where first you had to help her get over her fear of food before you start helping her losing her weight. And that's coaching 101. As I said, it's not just about getting you in shape, it's not just about teaching you about exercising, but there are certain fears and association that your clients will create that you can help navigate them through, and that's really powerful. So one question I like to ask you: how can you possibly help a client to get over their fear of food? If somebody here is watching us right now or listening to us, like, what can they do to start getting over their fear of food after trying so much different diet plans and it haven't worked and it's just stressing them out?
Yeah, and so the biggest thing that I used with this particular client that worked really well was, I just said, I just want you to take everything that you knew about nutrition and food. I just want you to just throw it out the window. Just pretend it doesn't even exist anymore. What I want you to do is go in with the mindset of no food is off limits. You can have the cookie, you just can't have 10 cookies. And once I taught her moderation, she was like, "Oh, you're right." Like, okay. Like, and that's what I try to teach my clients is, if they have a fear of food, is we're not even concerned about counting calories. At this point, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what was the crux of the problem. And for her, it was that she was on keto. So the ketogenic diet is low carbohydrate, high fat, high protein. So anything with a carbohydrate, it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's gonna kill me. And that was the person that taught her. Keto was, if I eat carbs, it's like gonna kill me and I'm gonna gain weight. But what happened was that whole fear of carbohydrates, when she would finally intake any sort of carbohydrate, it was this binge. It was like, let's just eat, like my favorite is the cookie example. Instead of having one cookie, we had 10 cookies, because what, screw it, we blew the diet. So it's, that's kind of a really hard, like, question to have, like, really general terms. But I would say the biggest thing is figure out where their fear of food is, and is it just a particular food group? And like for example, is it, let's say, like, they have pie. Let's just say that every time they have pie, they just don't have any self-control and they want to eat the whole thing. Can we ask them why? Was it because somebody told them so? And it's actually funny that when I start to ask those questions to some of my clients, it's actually just because somebody told them. It wasn't because they don't have any self-control. It's just they were not told, but they had this mindset that, like, oh yeah, like, I blew my diet and here we go. And there's always these couple foods with people, and everybody's different. That, oh man, like, I'm just gonna go completely, I'm gonna YOLO it, and I'm just gonna eat the entire bag of chips, eyes, whatever. So really, what I tend to ask my clients is, do they fear food? And if they do, which foods are there? And then I teach them moderation, and 9 times out of 10, moderation fixes it.
Definitely.
Like, oh, when I tell them that if they have 2,000 calories and that cookie is only 90 calories of the equation, they're like, oh, I can have one cookie, or I can have the 2 glasses of alcohol. I can fit that in. So my success is teaching people how to fit the foods they love into into their lifestyle. And once they figure that out, then we pretty much have no problems with food insecurities or fearing of food. So typically I just kind of tell them to just, there's no such thing as a bad food, and moderation, and that typically fixes it. Now I say that, I'm probably going to get jinxed. I'm going to work with somebody and that's not going to work.
But that's on point, man. That's definitely on point. This has been such a fruitful conversation, and you have just pumped out so much value and hit on so much important topics. Now we are approaching the, our I'd just like you to just, if and there's anybody who like to connect or reach out to you, like how can they do that? I have your handler up on top of just to the bottom of the page, so that if anybody want to reach out, they can always reach out to Nathan on Instagram, and it will just pop up on the bottom there. But otherwise, if somebody would like to work with you, they like to reach out to you to have a conversation about nutrition, diet. We need to start getting rid of that word diet, because it creates this kind of scare within people's mind. So yeah, how can we connect with you, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can connect with me on Instagram, Nathan with a _Schwartz. I try to put out great content. Post a couple times a day. You can also, right there where he's pointing. My finger is not there. You can't me there. Or if you want to just shoot me an email, it's Schwartz with 2 Z's, 68@gmail.com. You can shoot me an email. I'd love to just answer your questions. I always tell people, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram. My favorite thing that I tell people, and even work with clients, the only dumb question is the question that you're not willing to ask me. Because there's no such thing as a dumb question. The dumb question is
there's no right or wrong questions, like definitely. Yeah. Repeat your email again. It's Schwartz with 2 Z's at.
Yeah, it's Schwartz, so it's SCHWARTZZ68 at gmail.com. And feel free to reach me out, ask any question, or shoot me a DM through Instagram. I'd love to help every single one of you guys, whatever that question may be. Just help you guys live a healthier and active lifestyle. That's really why I got into this. I just want to help people live healthy lives, and that's how I want to be remembered for, is someone that help people live active and healthy, and they don't have a fear of food, and they don't have to worry about following all these diet rules. I'm kind of like, my mission is to simplify the process, make it easy for everybody to understand. If you can read my email, you can follow my program. I'll put a little shameless plug right there. If you can read this, and actually, if you're able to listen to the stream, you can follow my program. If you can read and do very, very basic math, you can do my program, no problem. If you know 1 + 1 = 2, we can work together.
Easy. I like that, man. This was a really interesting conversation, and it just reinforced a lot of things that I believe in, and that's why I just felt that you're an extraordinary person, and you are a superhero in your own way. Even though you can't freeze time right now, but I know that the journey that you're taking your clients through, it would feel like the time wasn't as long as they thought it would have been. That's something really powerful.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else you like to share before we come to the end of the program.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I didn't share early on is, I always tell people too, is enjoy the process. That's something that I think is so undervalued, is enjoy the process and trust the process. If you would have told 22-year-old or 23-year-old me to trust the process or enjoy the process, I would have been like, yeah, you're joking. But there's so much value in just enjoying the process, because I always tell all my clients is, I'm going to work your goal backwards and I'm going to get us there, but we got to have a lot of fun doing it, because guess what? When you finally hit your goal, you know how great it's going to feel when you reach it, but you know how much more greater it's going to feel because you loved every second of doing it. And I always tell people, like, you're not going to love every single day, but I always tell people that just have fun. Like I think sometimes as coaches, trainers, whatever, so be it, I think sometimes we forget to have fun. And I think that's something that I always tell people, that like, I want people that work with me, just have fun, enjoy it, enjoy the process. And if we're not enjoying the process, I want to know why. Because I always tell people that, like, at the end of the day, I want you guys to take a little bit of my passion for training and nutrition. And if I can get you just a little bit of that, if you can take a little bit of piece of me, I've won regardless of the outcome.
Straight up. I like that. I like that. And the aim is to get to 90 and we're still packing, we're still enjoying sex, we're still climbing trees, we're still doing backflips.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And I always tell people, I want you when you're 80, 90. Heck, I want you when you're 95. I want you to be that person that's like just killing it. You know,
what's up.
That is, if I could get everybody I worked with and I could follow up with them forever, you know, and I find out they're 90, or at least, you know, when I'm like, and they're killing it, and nothing feels greater to me to know that I've made a difference in somebody's life for the better, regardless if that's nutrition or regardless if it's training. Because I always tell people that when I picked up weights for the first time when I was 12, it forever changed my life. And then when I decided to go and pursue the nutrition and I finally figured out what it was all about, it changed my life again. I was like, man, I had 2 life-changing moments in my life. If I could get someone to have one of them and I was the reason for it, man, you know, that puts millions of smiles on my face. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about that.
Oh, wow.
So
you're awesome, bro.
But yeah, hey, I appreciate you having me on, and our listeners at home. I appreciate you guys. If you're listening live or you're gonna listen on replay, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to what I have to say.
And definitely, we're gonna stay connected. And if anybody would like to reach out to Nathan, you know, even after this episode has been posted, just hit me a message and I'll make the connection. And you know, this is Nathan Schwartz for you guys. You know, he's ready to save the world. You know, just like all of us coaches are trying to do. So Nathan, I want you to have a wonderful day, man, and I hope everything is really good in Ames and no one get hurt from that hurricane. This session was packed with a lot of value surrounding sustainability and nutrition, and it's just gonna get better.
Absolutely.
So have a wonderful day, bro.
Have a wonderful day, and again, I appreciate having me on.
Yeah, bye.
Take care.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
You've made it to the end of another deep conversation on Vinci to the world. And I hope that this conversation has brought you a ton of value. As I said, that my aim here is to act as a bridge between 2 worlds, that of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that of the network of experts I've had the opportunity of connecting with throughout the years. Now, to ensure that my mission here has been accomplished, all I ask is for you to leave a comment in the comment section stating what top 3 insights did you gain as a result of this conversation. And also, if you like, you can also leave 1 actionable step that you can take in the next 7 days that is going to elevate your personal development. I'm Dino Delplesh, your favorite bodyweight strength coach. One love.